She was young, strikingly beautiful, and unflinchingly cruel. Jenny-Wanda Barkmann didn't look like a monster, yet history remembers her as one of the most cold-blooded female war criminals of the Nazi regime. Nicknamed the Beautiful Spectre by prisoners at Stutthof concentration camp, Barkmann was a paradox of charm and savagery, an SS overseer who selected men, women, and children for execution with a smile. Her crimes were not only numerous, but laced with a disturbing theatricality. And when justice finally caught up with her, the reckoning was unforgettable. On July 4, 1946, in front of a large public crowd, Jenny-Wanda Barkmann was hanged for her atrocities in one of the most chilling executions ever recorded. This is not a tale for the faint of heart. It is the brutal, tragic, and deeply unsettling account of how a seemingly ordinary woman became a symbol of inhumanity and paid the ultimate price. Stutthof was not the most famous of Nazi concentration camps, but it was one of the earliest and longest operating. Established in September 1939 near the city of Danzig, Stutthof became a hellish site of imprisonment, forced labor, torture, and mass murder. Originally intended for Polish political prisoners, it quickly expanded to include Jews, Soviet POWs, and others deemed undesirable by the Third Reich. Over 110,000 people were sent to Stutthof during its operation. Of those, nearly 65,000 perished, many through starvation, disease, execution, or the gas chamber introduced late in the war. The camp's brutality was relentless, and its guards, both male and female, were known for their cruelty. Among these was a chilling cohort of female SS guards trained at the nearby SS camp of Trauniki. They were often as violent and feared as their male counterparts. Jenny-Wanda Barkmann, one of the youngest and most infamous of these guards, arrived at Stutthof in 1944. Though her tenure was brief, her legacy of cruelty left a mark so severe that survivors would never forget her face or her actions. Jenny-Wanda Barkmann was born on May 30, 1922, in Hamburg, Germany, a city of culture and commerce, but also deeply affected by the rise of Nazi ideology. Little is known about her early years, but records suggest she lived an ordinary life before the war. Some accounts claim she worked as a model in her youth, a detail often repeated due to her striking looks, though it's difficult to verify. What is certain is that Barkmann came of age during a period of intense nationalistic fervor, where young Germans were indoctrinated with Nazi propaganda and rigid social roles. Like many women at the time, she may have initially seen work with the SS as a path to stability or advancement. But somewhere along the way, ambition or ideology, or something far darker, pushed her into the role of camp overseer. And from that point on, her descent into cruelty was swift and brutal. Jenny-Wanda Barkmann arrived at the Stutthof concentration camp in 1944 as an SS Aufseherin, one of the many female guards who oversaw prisoners with unchecked authority. Although her time at the camp was less than a year, her reputation quickly outgrew her rank. She wasn't just another brutal overseer. She became infamous for her cold sadism cloaked in a calm, composed exterior. Witnesses later described her as strikingly elegant, even glamorous, always maintaining her appearance with carefully styled hair and manicured nails. But behind this poised facade was a woman capable of terrifying acts. Barkmann was particularly active in the selection processes, choosing which prisoners, often children or the elderly, would be sent to the gas chambers. Survivors recounted how she performed these tasks with disturbing calm, often smiling or chatting as she condemned people to death. Because of her contrasting beauty and brutality, inmates gave her a haunting nickname, the Beautiful Spectre. It was a name that captured the surreal horror of a young woman who looked like she belonged on a magazine cover, yet wielded death without remorse. She was also known for vicious beatings and casual cruelty. Some accounts described her striking prisoners with whips or fists for minor infractions or simply out of boredom. Her presence alone invoked fear. She became a symbol of the camp's twisted world, where humanity was turned upside down and evil often wore a calm, composed face.
By the time Stutthof was liberated in May 1945, Barkmann had vanished, but her crimes had already etched her into the memories of countless survivors, setting the stage for a reckoning that would come all too soon.
As the Red Army closed in during the final days of World War II, Jenny-Wanda Barkmann fled Stutthof, hoping to vanish into the chaos. For a short time she succeeded, changing clothes, concealing her identity, and blending in with displaced civilians. But in May 1945, she was arrested in Gdansk, her identity eventually confirmed by witnesses who had seen her in action at the camp. What followed was the first Stutthof trial, held in Gdansk between April and May 1946. Jenny-Wanda Barkmann stood trial alongside other notorious guards and administrators of the Stutthof camp system. The proceedings were public, and testimonies from survivors painted a damning picture of her cruelty. Witnesses recalled her role in selections for the gas chamber, her beatings of inmates, and the casual sadism that defined her behavior. Perhaps most disturbing was Barkmann's demeanor throughout the trial. Rather than showing remorse, she appeared detached, at times even flirtatious. She smiled for cameras, fixed her hair during breaks, and seemed unshaken by the horror being laid bare in court. Journalists noted the eerie contrast between her composed appearance and the chilling accusations. When the verdict was finally read, there was no doubt. Barkmann was found guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Her sentence was death by hanging. And still, she showed no visible signs of fear or repentance. According to reports, her final words before execution were chillingly flippant. "Life is indeed a pleasure, and pleasures are usually short."
With those words, Jenny-Wanda Barkmann confirmed what many already believed, that her beauty had been a mask for something deeply inhuman. On July 4, 1946, Jenny-Wanda Barkmann faced her reckoning. The site was Biskupia Górka Hill, just outside Gdansk, a place that would become infamous for what unfolded that day. Thousands of Polish citizens gathered in a field-turned-execution ground to witness justice served. Barkmann and 10 other convicted Stutthof personnel were led to wooden gallows, each to be executed by short-drop hanging. The hangings were conducted by former camp prisoners, a grim but symbolic reversal of power. As the condemned were marched up the platforms, the crowd watched silently, many with tears, others with grim satisfaction. Barkmann, dressed in a modest skirt and blouse, reportedly remained composed, even smiling faintly. Her youth and beauty stood in jarring contrast to the brutal machinery of justice now moving against her. When her time came, she climbed the gallows without resistance. There were no pleas for mercy, only the echo of her last words from the trial: "Life is indeed a pleasure." And then, with a sharp pull, the rope ended it. Photographs of that day still circulate, haunting images showing Barkmann and her co-defendants moments before and after death. These photos have become grim historical artifacts, frozen reminders of how justice, though slow, eventually arrived for even the most protected faces of Nazi evil. The spectacle sent a powerful message to the world. Those who committed atrocities, regardless of gender or appearance, would not escape judgment.
For many survivors and onlookers, the execution brought a small sense of closure. For Barkmann, it was the final act in a twisted life marked by elegance and horror. She had once walked with power among the dying. On that day, she died before the living. Jenny-Wanda Barkmann's execution was one of the most public and symbolic acts of post-war justice. It marked a rare moment when the horrors inflicted by female Nazi guards were brought into full view. Her case challenged the perception that cruelty in the camps was solely the domain of men, revealing that women, too, could be agents of terror. In the years that followed, Barkmann became a chilling symbol of the banality of evil, how someone so outwardly ordinary, even attractive, could be capable of such inhuman acts. Her haunting nickname, the Beautiful Spectre, lived on in historical texts, documentaries, and survivor testimonies as a reminder of that contradiction. Today, her name stands alongside other notorious female guards like Irma Grace and Elizabeth Volkenroth. But unlike many, Barkmann's end was captured in stark public view, a final, unforgettable image of justice being done, not in darkness, but in the full glare of day. Jenny-Wanda Barkmann's story is a grim lesson in how evil can wear a mask of charm and normalcy. Her execution was justice, but her life remains a haunting question. How many others like her walked away unnoticed? Ordinary faces hiding monstrous deeds, never forced to face a rope or the world's memory?